Hi, and welcome to this 30-minute yoga practice. I'm Andrea. Great to have you here. Today, always a good idea to have a chair somewhere nearby. I have a couple of blocks. If you don't have blocks, thick books might work. A folded blanket, it could be your throw blanket from your couch or even a big beach towel. I do have a yoga mat, but if you don't have one, find a place that's carpeted and not too slippery. And you can be barefoot like me, or if you're more comfortable wearing shoes, then wear shoes. You're going to be able to see me, I think, best if you angle yourself and or your mat to face me. I'm going to be adjusting my mat from time to time, like even now, so that you can best see me, but you don't need to move your mat. I'm going to do that for you. I just want to be able to see you and for you to be able to see me. So once you've got your chair, yourself situated so you can see me, stand facing the long edge of your mat with your feet hip distance apart in mountain pose. We often meet here to start. In fact, it's the place that we stop so that we can start. Soft bend in your knees. The feeling of aligning your hips over your heels, turning your palms away from each other, smiling your collarbones open, and aligning shoulders over hips over heels, and then lean your head back and gaze at what I like to call the bright horizon. Ears over shoulders, over hips over heels. And it's here that we find our breath. And you'll try to breathe just in and out through your nose if you can. Of course, breathe any way that you are able, but with awareness. And we want to slow things down. So notice if your breath is quick and just encourage it, don't force it, to slow down with you. Take a few moments, maybe even close your eyes for a moment. And continue to lift your low belly. Just interlace your hands behind your back. Let that encourage an even greater smile in your collarbones. And then just allow this to lift your heart. Not your chin so much as your heart. So low belly lifts, chin is parallel to the ground, soft bend in your knees, and that beautiful posture we found remains. There's just a little bit more heart to it, you might say. 2 more moments just like this, like a stretch first thing in the morning. Now release your interlace, stay with your knees bent just slightly, and inhale the arms V-shape overhead, and then just exhale and float them alongside you. We'll add a bend to the knees here. Bend your knees, inhale V-shape. Exhale, stand it up. Just using this to build some heat, a little warm up. Inhale, V-shape, knees bent, emphasis in the heels, and then exhale, stand, and float your arms alongside you. Again, like that, inhale, bending the knees, V-shape overhead, and then exhale, straighten your legs, smile your collarbones as if you still had that interlace. One more time, bend your knees, let a V-shape happen overhead. And then exhale, standing up. This time, as we V-shape overhead with our knees bent, keep your knees bent, take your hands behind you and find that interlace, and then just notice which pinky's on the bottom, apparently your favorite, and switch it out. Now here's what's tricky. It's our heart lifting, low belly is lifting, weight is in the heels. If it's too long a stay in this uncomfortable chair, then straighten your legs anytime. But we'll see if we can let this simmer for 3, keep breathing, and 2. Stay with it if you can. Unlace your hands, V-shape overhead, and then straighten your legs and float your arms alongside you. Turn the palms away from each other. Pause in your mountain. Now arms out to the side, this time thumbs face down, but that doesn't mean we shrug shoulders into ears. So just see if you can find that. And then there are a few different ways that you can do this. I'm going to turn my back on you only so that you can see it, not because I'm turning my back on you, if you know what I mean. So most of us, I think, will probably bring fists together behind us. You can hold opposite elbows. A few of you will start to create a prayer behind your back. Now the thing is, if any of those are starting to slump us forward, it's not the right move. We want to keep the smiling collarbones, a prayer of some sort behind our back, and then one last little thing. We're not dumping into our low back. So let your lower belly lift, smile your collarbones, and to the best of your abilities, and it's tricky for me too, think ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels, even here with our hands tied behind our back. But really, it's not that our hands are tied behind our back, they're uplifting our heart, and we're not mistaking our chin for our chest and our heart. 2 more moments here. Now just wriggle free with your arms. Take them out to the side, thumbs to the sky. Give yourself a bend to the knees just to let that go. And then straighten your legs and float your arms alongside you. This is where I'm going to move my mat, but you don't need to move yours. I'm going to turn it a little bit more sideways because we are continuing to face that long edge of your mat. And we'll step out wide. Take your arms wide out to the side as a measuring stick. Let your ankles be underneath your wrists, but that may not be quite the exact proportions. We'll figure that in a moment. Turn your right leg out. And it's not just your right foot, it's turning out from your right hip. And then bend your right knee and make sure that you're not knee in front of the ankle like I'm showing you here. So give yourself more space if that's what you find. Nice deep bend in the front knee. Spin the inner upper arms away from each other so that beautiful open heart we just found with your prayer behind your back lives on here. And remember, when we did that, we had to lift the low belly so we didn't dump in our low back. Your right hip is hugging underneath you. Your right thigh bone is moving a little bit to the right. Now take your right forearm across your right thigh, and then like our prayer that we made behind our back, turn your left thumb down and either bring the back of your left hand to the small of your back, or maybe weave it a little bit further down. And then it's like a karate chop with our right forearm. Low belly is lifting, chest is turning open, heart is opening, right thigh bone not collapsing to the right, but moving back to the left. And I know that's a lot I just gave you. Just let yourself find it as best you can, and then we'll take a few moments of spicy meditation since we've been in this pose for a little while. And if you need to come out of it early, that's fine. 2 more moments here. Come back to your warrior 2. So float your left thumb to the sky, right thumb to the sky, we're upright. Straighten slowly that front leg. Turn all of your toes to face the long edge of your mat. And then turn your left hip out so that your left foot faces the short edge of your mat, and cheat your back heel at about a 45-degree angle. Our measurements should be pretty good since we were here on the first side. Bend your left knee, and then find your way here to opening up your heart, lifting up your low belly. So the prayer behind the back we did a moment ago lives on here in our warrior stance. Allow your left thigh bone to move towards the left instead of collapse towards the right. Outer edge of your back foot is solid, and it's like you're standing in a mountain pose with that back leg. And then we take the left forearm like a karate chop onto your thigh. The top arm, your right arm, turn that thumb to face down and weave the arm behind your back. Be careful not to collapse into the left shoulder. Karate chop and turn. Left hip is moving underneath you. You can actually almost feel that probably with your hand behind your back, and that can be the back of your hand on the small of your back, or you move it down a little bit. And then I'll be quiet for a few beats so we can breathe in our spicy meditation side 2. So great. Float your right arm, thumb to the sky, and then come upright. Left arm reaches in our warrior pose. Straighten your front leg. Turn all your toes to face the long edge of your mat. And then just heel toe until you're hip distance apart, because we need some props. If you like to do triangle pose with your hand on the base of your chair, just move your chair so that it's midway down your mat and accessible to your hand. If you like to use your blocks, move your blocks off your mat so they're not in our way, but tall and on either end, like I'm doing here. And then we'll find our wide stance again. So thumbs to the sky, basically ankles underneath wrists. Like a moment ago, the side angle pose that we did, that's what the name of that Warrior 2 variation was. Turn your right leg out so that your right foot faces the short edge of your mat. It's not a side bend, it's a hip hinge. So you're gonna let your left hip scoot out, reach long, find your tall block on the outside of your right foot, or your hand on the base of your chair is perfect. And then as we did in our side angle, turn your left thumb to face the ground and place the back of your left hand on the small of your back. Every inhale, grow long. Every exhale, get to the heart of the matter and rotate your heart to face the sky. No shoulders and ears. Nobody's head is lower than their hips. And then come from your heart as we breathe in a few moments of silence here. Look at those beautiful, shiny hearts out there. So nice. And then float your left arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky. You might, while you're down here, just carefully move your block out of your way, firm through your belly, come upright. And then turn all your toes to face the long edge of your mat. We'll head to second side. Rotate from your left hip. Left foot faces the short edge of your mat. Cheat your right heel back at a 45-degree angle. Make sure that your chair or your tall block are there. Thumbs to the sky. It's a hip hinge, not a side bend. And we lengthen, 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 lengthen until we find our block or our chair. Right thumb to the sky. No shoulders and ears. Now, right thumb faces down. Weave your top arm back of the hand to the base of the spine, or maybe it travels a little bit lower towards the hip crease. But mostly, inhale, grow long. Exhale, turn your heart to the heavens. And you're pressing into your left big toe mound. There's no tightness. It's not that you're not trying, but we're not making things harder than they need to be. Take a few more moments breathing here in our silence and stillness. Absolutely beautiful. Now, free that right arm up to the sky, thumb to the sky. Firm through your feet and your belly. Move maybe the block off to the side so that it's not in your way. And then come all the way up. Turn all of your toes to face the long edge of your mat. Heel toe, heel toe. I'm going to be moving my mat. You're not, but you will. Step to the front edge of your mat. And then when you're at the front edge of your mat, have your chair at the front of your mat, if you want to use that, or situate your blocks on either side of the front edge of your mat. Meet me right here at the front, feet hip distance, standing into our mountain. And then inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Exhale, hinge at your hips and bring your hands to your thighs. Inhale, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, fold. We'll just do that one more time. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, V shape, and then stand in your mountain. Great. This one will take us to our next move. Inhale, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky. V shape overhead, and then you exhale and fold, hinging at the hips. Inhale, heart extends. Stay with this length in your spine. You can place your hands on the base of your chair or take your hands to your tall blocks. Because our knee is going to come to the ground, you might want to scoot your padding underneath your left knee and then step your left foot back. Lower your back knee carefully. Even just keeping your left toes curled under can make it feel a lot better on that knee. First, take your hands on top of your right thigh and grow tall, a little traction against the thigh like when we do our sun salutation and extend our heart. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Pause here for a moment. Make sure your back knee is happy. Low belly is lifting. 2 more moments. Now take your hands, interlace them like we did when we were standing in our mountain, and then drag your interlace towards the ground. But as you do so, lift your low belly. Chin stays parallel to the ground. And just play with it a little bit. Come from the heart a bit. It's so tempting, like we've noticed, to try to use our chin. Let that stay parallel to the ground. It's so tempting to collapse into our low back. Let's not do that. Low belly's lifting. And then just 2 more breaths, exactly as we are. Now release your interlace. Take your arms to the sky, thumbs to the sky. Hands come to your blocks or the base of your chair. We're going to stay low since we're here now. So step your right knee next to your left knee. If you wish that you had had padding, this is a perfect time to reach over, slip it underneath that right knee for our second side. Step your left foot forward, and here we are, voila, in our low lunge. First, take your hands atop the left thigh, traction a little bit. So it feels like there's still a prayer behind your back, even though there's not. Low belly lift, breath stays steady. Arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Stay for just a moment. Notice if the habit of scrunching shoulders into ears is something you might want to bring awareness to. And then lower your arms, interlace, but remember how we interlaced the other way when we were standing? Take the other pinky to the bottom. We all have tendencies. It's pretty fascinating to note. And then drag those knuckles towards the ground as you lift your low belly and keep your chin parallel to the ground. You're opening your heart and you're gazing at the bright horizon. It's a pretty good place to be. Stay here for a few moments and breathe with me. Then unlace, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape. Hands to your blocks or to the base of your chair so that we can come to hands and knees. Move your blocks off to the side. Here I go, moving my mat again so that you can see me. You don't need to move a thing. Well, you do, a few things like your props, but you don't have to move yourself. And then once you're on your hands and knees, you're going to assume a very similar position, but on your back. So lie down on your back, bend your knees with your feet hip distance apart. And pause for a second. I lied. I have a different idea for you. Turn, come on up. And then bring, from your seated position, your hands behind you with your fingers facing you. I want to do this first. I hope that's okay. So lift your chest as if we still had our prayer behind our back. I'm going to spin this way so I'm looking at you. And this is plenty. You could actually do this and that would be enough. Maybe start to lift your hips a little, a little, a little. We're not going to drop the head back. So imagine that you have like a tangerine underneath your chin. You want to keep it there. And then lower your hips to your mat and pause here. Really good. Hopefully you're coming from your heart so much that my twists and turns and indecision are met with love. then one more time, start to lift your hips, or don't, but lift your heart, lift your low belly. We don't drop our head back. We just feel opening through the shoulders, opening through the heart. And then ease your way, hips onto the ground. Great. You can simply roll over onto your belly. I'm going to spin around so I continue to face you. Onto our bellies we go. And on your belly, we're going to come into Sphinx pose. So forearms on your mat. Traction your elbows towards you. Still not too much with our chin, right? It's just a habit. It's a habit that's hard to break. Low belly is lifting, and now you can feel the low belly against the ground. So something to nerd out on a little bit. Stay with it. Feel like your tailbone is getting longer and longer and longer towards the back of your mat, and press into the tops of your feet until it feels like you've activated your legs, the extent to which your kneecaps almost come off the ground. Still no shrugging of shoulders into ears. 2 more moments. It's a gentle back bend, not a forceful one. We're coming from the heart. Now just lower down and make a pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on your hands. I'm not going to do that because I'll eat my microphone. Bend your knees and then just let them windshield wiper your feet back and forth so it feels great on your low back. And then back to our Sphinx positioning. So forearms tractioning towards you, chin parallel to the ground, low belly lifting. You can stay with this the whole time. It's a great place to be. You might experiment with lowering down, situating your hands next to your bottom ribs. Elbows are in, not splaying out to the side. Chin stays parallel to the ground, low belly lifts, and then it would be tractioning your hands towards a cobra. So there is a style of yoga called vinyasa yoga, and this is one of the moves in the full sun salutation that we do a little bit of in these practices. So just something to maybe prepare you for vinyasas going forward. 2 more moments, just like this. And then lower it down, make a pillow with your hands, bend your knees. Let's bring our windshield wipers back into the mix. Roll over onto your back. Lie down on your back, and this time I actually mean it. It's hard to know what to believe for me, isn't it? If your props are still in your way, you can move them off to the side. Once you're lying down, hug your right knee into your chest. This is a really sweet counter pose for the back bends that we just did. Pause for a moment here. Let your left leg feel like it's standing in mountain pose, and feel the heads of your arm bones on the ground. So it's like that prayer that we did at the very beginning is still there, even here, lying on the ground. Every pose we do is a little bit of an education for our body. And all of us are learning about ourselves all the time. It's pretty exciting. If this doesn't work holding the shin, you're welcome to hold the hamstring. Maybe that feels better to you. Just a few more moments as we are here. And then straighten out that right leg onto the floor and bend your left knee into your chest. If it feels better around the hamstring, do that. Maybe around the shin. And then we just refine it a little bit. So it feels nice as a counter pose to the back bends that we've done, but the back bends are still sort of here as our shoulder blades are on our back against the ground. And you can feel the very heads of your arm bones, instead of rounding up or turning our chin into that struggle we've been talking about. Now you've got tactile, meaning like you can touch it, feedback about where your shoulders are. I think lying on the ground is one of the most amazing educations for our shoulders ever. I do it all the time. Your right leg feels like it's standing in Tadasana in mountain pose. Let's take a few quiet, still meditative moments here together. Absolutely beautiful. Now, both knees into your chest. I think for a lot of us, it actually might feel better to just take the hamstrings. And see if you can find little bits and pieces of that prayer behind your back as your shoulders come onto your mat. You're letting that feeling of a little tangerine under your chin be here too. So I'm turning to look at you, but you can just gaze up at the sky. 2 more moments here. Another nice release for back bends is a twist. So release your feet as wide as your mat. Make sure there's nothing in your way. Cactus your arms out to the side. And like windshield wipers, I guess we've been windshield wipers a couple of times today, let your knees drop over to the right. For a lot of us, this is plenty. Maybe a few of you, it feels good to pick up your right foot and just cross that ankle on top of your left thigh. If that gives you electrical or sharp feedback, it's too much and you don't need it. If you did cross the ankle, place your feet, both of them, on your mat as wide as your mat. Let them both windshield wiper over to the left, and this is plenty. Maybe pick up your left foot and put it across the thigh. So don't feel like that's important. What's important is that you're paying attention and giving yourself what you need. Making sure the porridge is just right. 2 more moments. If you crossed ankle on thigh, place that left foot down, come down the middle. You can lift your hips straight up just an inch so that you feel like you're even, you're symmetrical. Take your arms alongside you, snuggle your shoulders underneath so our prayer lives on. It can be this for your Shavasana, or with your knees knock-kneeing in on each other. Maybe you straighten the legs if your lower back isn't feeling tender. And sometimes after a back bend practice, you feel a little bit of that and it should go away. You close your eyes, maybe cover your eyes. 1 minute of silence together. You're welcome to stay here in your Shavasana final meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready to find your way back, move fingers and toes, stretch any juicy way that feels good. And then gather your knees in your chest and roll to either side. Use the strength of your arms to come up to a comfortable way to sit. And once you're seated, maybe the prayer that was behind our back comes in front of your chest and you lift your wide open heart up into it. Take this open heart with you out into the world and share it with as many people as you can. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I look forward to us doing it again soon.